Welcome back to Mornings with Zerlina. DeNora Getachew is the CEO of DoSomething. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So everyone saw that huge headline last week about a jury that found Meta and YouTube liable for intentionally addicting a young user who is now an adult, but talked and documented all of the ways in which the platforms addicted them and impacted their mental health. What is your reaction to the verdict? Like, what does it mean for the future of liability for companies like Meta and YouTube?
You know, I think I will say I was actually with my own children when this decision came out last week, because it's spring break for some of the students in New York, and I talked to our kids about this being literally the big tobacco moment for their generation, right? I mean, my daughters are 14 and 15 years old and are in the thick of that age where young people are, you know, want their social connection and their sense of community and belonging, which for some of us, I won't age everyone, but I'll age myself as a Gen Xer, meant going outside and playing. For them, it means gaming and like sitting adjacent to each other in a virtual world. It literally, I think, shook them as well. Like, wait, you're right. Like, it does have this effect on us. It does suck us in. It does, you know, affect our digital well-being. And so I do think this is just the tip of the iceberg of that moment. And I will say, as someone who runs the largest digitally powered platform for young people who care about doing good, it's about time is the honest answer. I came on as CEO. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go for it.
No. Continue.
I was going to say, I came on as CEO at DoSomething 5 years ago, right, during COVID. And for young people who were, let's say, 8 to 10 at that age, you know, during COVID, they were foisted online much sooner than they otherwise would have been, right? If we think back pre-COVID, we had the wait till 8th grade pledge. Well, people couldn't do that if your lifeline to school, you know, your friends, et cetera, was or digital devices, right? In our home, it used to be that iPads were for airplanes, and now it's like technology is omnipresent in our lives. And so I connect that back to coming online during, you know, as CEO during COVID. And what I was so shocked by, right, DoSomething really focuses on helping young people do good at scale across issues that matter to them, is that for the last 5 years, the number one, or at least the top 3 issue for our members who are 13 to 25-year-olds is their sense of safety and well-being. Like, they care passionately about how are we going to help them, we being DoSomething, but we also, meaning adults, going to help them take care of their mental and physical and, dare I say, digital well-being. And so this decision, I think, is going to have a cataclysmic, not even think, I hope, really has a cataclysmic effect on U.S. policymakers, you know, schools, et cetera, as we think about how we care for our young people.
I mean, one of the really troubling things about these platforms is they are literally built like slot machines, and the fact that even adults, even, you know, the most disciplined adults can get sucked into what a lot of folks describe as addiction by design. The way it's actually built is meant to keep us coming back. It's meant to keep us standing still, sitting still, and attached to our devices. I mean, when children are developing, when young people are developing and figuring out their place in the world, and they're spending so much time on these devices, I feel like there's so much that they're missing about, to your point, Gen X, and I'm an elder millennial, all of the things that you benefit from when you go outside, when you engage with people in person, when you are building community, you're building those friendships. I mean, talk a bit about some of the things that we're losing when we are so attached to our devices and to these social platforms.
I mean, I think it's interesting, right? Because to the point I was making earlier, this is for Gen Z and Gen Alpha, young Gen Z, Gen Alpha in particular, digital natives, those who grew up with technology in their hands. This is their sense of community. And yet they feel, as I noted, this sense of overwhelm, this sense of how it's impacting their perceptions of themselves, which was at heart in the lawsuit, right? It was like, wait, am I having a distorted view of self as a result of what I see online and all of what the algorithm is feeding me? And then the flip side of this is that it is their community, right? Like, when I see the positive effects of what's happening online, right, and that young people are co-creating or co-designing things online, that gives me hope and excitement about the potential of these tools. I think where we are as a country is that we've kind of crossed a tipping point, right, where unlike many other countries around the globe that are beginning to either outright ban access under a certain age or explore how to restrict access or limit access, we've done none of that. So we've given young people over to the internet, right? Like, and that part is what's scaring me. And often my colleagues, they'll listen to this later and they'll be like, there's DeNora again. I say I am not a Luddite, but I'm really concerned about the fact that this feels like the first time in modern history when there's been a big technological advance and American government hasn't stepped in to regulate it up front. Like when I was young, right? I won't forget that my parents during the summer gave me over to the TV, right? But it was regulated what was on TV during times when young people were watching. So I wasn't going to have access to inappropriate content or extreme violence when cartoons were on, right? Like cartoons were on when they knew children were watching. And so there's something very distorted about the moment we're in now where young people don't have that sense of connection of let's just go outside and play, right? And maybe that's why, at least here in the Northeast, we had a pretty bad winter, which I hope is completely behind us. We don't need any spring snow surprises. But when we had snow days, right, the notion for parents of like, oh wait, I have to get my kids out of the house for the snow day and go play, right? That wouldn't have even been a thought in my mind as a young person. Like, I'm going outside to play in the snow day. Whereas my kids, their initial reaction was like, oh, my friends have a snow day. We could all game together. And I'm like, no. You actually have to go outside. And so this sense of, right, like I said, it is a double-edged sword. There are some benefits, right, especially when you think back to COVID and what we needed with respect to community at that time. But what we hear our members saying, and again, they're 13 to 25-year-olds, is this sense of that it's omnipresent in their lives, that they are feeling like it's affecting their mental health and their well-being. And that, of course, we've seen all of the issues with the negative health impacts of just like extended use on screens, whether it affects their eyes or their like ability to sleep, let alone their mental health.
And then also it's a curated highlight reel. So you're literally scrolling and then you're comparing your life and your situation to people you're following. And that might not even be the truth. I mean, I joke all the time that, some of these influencers that are like, this is a day of my life. And then they're like waking up in the bed. I'm like, you had to get up and set up the camera. Then you got back in the bed to get up on camera. And I'm not saying that you can't put that in the video. It's fine. It's the beginning of your day in the life. But again, I think that is just one funny and silly example of the ways in which what's really happening is being distorted, and then we're comparing ourselves to the distortion.
Absolutely. And I think that is, right, there's a whole creator class in our society, which I think is actually really good, right? Again, I'm not going to completely knock or diss, if you will, use a throwback term, completely diss technology and social media, but I do think we've hit a point of extremes because there are those who are a part of that creator class who, one, it has freed them to be more creative and be able to be to tap into that part of their brain, right? I'm a left brain, very logic oriented person. There are plenty of people who aren't that way. And so it's great to see our society and our economy adapt to be able to meet the needs and kind of the expression types of all of our society. The flip side is when you do that at scale, right? So those same creators are having issues with mental health because they have to think about and maybe dreaming about what does it mean to wake up and have to be on, right? Like when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, I need to get all these chores done before I get on Mornings with Zerlina, right? Like I didn't think, oh, I need to go check what everybody was doing on Instagram while I was sleeping. Like it doesn't even cross my mind, right? Or it doesn't cross my mind to even think, oh, I have to present myself to the world before I've even collected my thoughts, right? As we all know, research shows like the first 2 hours of when you wake up, your body's still waking up. So you're not even like you're fully kind of cognizant self straight away. So imagine then turning a camera on and talking to the world when your brain is still, groggy from the night before.
One of the trends that I've been reading a lot about, I mean, Gen Z is a unique generation. They're rejecting a lot of the things that millennials and Gen Xers did on a regular basis. Obviously, we're of the internet generation, but they're not drinking alcohol. They're doing things in real life. They're trying to actively unplug. I mean, they literally use headphones with the plug, with the wire, right? Yes. So they're doing some small things, but I feel like there is a trend among young people, and I'm curious what you're seeing and hearing from them about actively trying to unplug and connect in person.
No, I think that's right. And that's this notion of them taking control of their digital well-being. And so that's impressive. And we've done a lot of work at DoSomething to help young people understand how to take care of their mental well-being, whether it is the unplug movement, which I think is, as you noted, is gaining lots of steam, whether it's thinking about the intersection between arts and kind of creative expression and therapy. We've done a lot around helping young people understand how to be upstanders for spotting mental health challenges among themselves and their peers, having trained over 10,000 young people around the country to be that kind of those mental health first responders. What I think is interesting about all of those movements is like, until on some level, just like I noted earlier, until there's some level of regulation around what are the guardrails for that, there's still so much of an onus on a young person when we know scientifically their brains are not fully developed, right? So like me as a mom, right? A mom of 14 and 15-year-olds, I'm like, okay, guys, give me the gadgets. They're sleeping with me. I need you to get your rest. Like, so then I haven't put it on my LinkedIn profile, but I keep talking about being the internet police, right? It's like, who would have thought that that was a job description of a parent, right? Or of an educator? You see this huge movement around cell phone bans in schools because we realize the young people are going to schools, but they're not actually connecting in person in schools because they're so connected to their devices. And so I think that is helpful, and it's great to see young people kind of grabbing the bull by the horns, if you will. And yet there's still more that needs to be done if we're truly going to save a generation, right, from some of the ills that are becoming more and more visible and exposed for all of us, right? You see adults at scale having the same issues, right, of like being chronically online, being distracted, having attention issues. And so while I am a Gen Xer and a woman of a certain age, hopefully I have some level of regulation and self-control. I definitely have more than teenage girls or teenage boys, right? And so I do think we still have to do what other countries, right? Australia has taken steps, Malaysia's taken steps, France has taken steps. Many places in the EU are exploring bans. Why are we not doing that in America, right? Like, why is a slap on the wrist of, respectfully, several $1 million, all that maybe just a drop in the bucket for some of these large companies, going to prevent us from really putting in the guardrails to safeguard our youngest citizens?
And DoSomething works with young people around activism and volunteerism. For the folks who are listening right now, maybe there are young people listening right now in the car, or parents of young people, what are some of the things that they can do? Because we always hear on this show, want to give people marching orders and tips on how they can get engaged, how they can do more, how they can engage in activism. So what are their options?
So many options. Thank you for the opportunity to promote DoSomething. So DoSomething is the largest online platform for young people who care about volunteerism, service, and doing good in their communities. We've been around for over 3 decades. We are not your grandma's version of DoSomething. We are designed today for young people, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, coming of age in this moment, right? So when you come to DoSomething.org, you are joining a membership base of over 1 million young people all over the globe, in every area code in the U.S. and in 189 countries abroad, who care about doing everything from organizing community cleanups in your community to really help combat some of the environmental issues that young people are facing, another top issue our members care about. I noted you can get tools to help you and your peers navigate some of the digital well-being and mental health challenges facing us this moment. We are really excited right now about a partnership that we have with Amazon MGM Studios and 3M around being the social impact partner of the blockbuster movie Project Hail Mary. If you haven't seen it, go out and see it. We're helping young people today understand that there are so many careers in STEM that they can be exploring. So yes, we have the coders and the engineers, but we also have microbiologists and teachers who teach science. And there are so many ways in which young people today can unlock their inner STEM. We have work around helping young people understand their own economic mobility, or how to spot scams online, or how to, register their peers to vote. It really is the hub for young people who care about doing good. And we invite every young person and educators and parents and those who are proximate to young people to come join us at DoSomething.org and help young people today get engaged, help them join this community. It is both a online community, but it is also increasingly an in-person community. And so we do work in community in states all over the country centered on young people. So young people come to us and they're like, hi, I'd really love to organize this community cleanup in my community. Can you help me do that? And we help them get outside in community and do that work again. Because we know, as much as we are a tech-powered platform, we have a need, a responsibility, a requirement to help young people take care of their mental well-being and do so together in person.
DeNora Getachew, CEO of DoSomething, thank you so much for being with us to chat about this breaking news from recently, but also to talk about the larger issue and the ways in which young people and the parents of young people can get engaged and involved. Thank you for being with us this morning.